Hello everyone. In this session, we are going to talk about the statistical functions. Statistical functions enables the users to perform the statistical calculation and analysis on the top of the dataset. Some of the statistical functions are the count A, count X, average X, median X, standard deviation, variance, rank X, and percentile X. Now let's talk about them one by one. Count basically returns you the count of numbers of values in a column. If we talk about count A, it returns you the count of the non-blank names. For example, how many non-blank cells are there. Then we have the count X. Count X counts the number of rows that results from evaluating an expression for each row of a table. Whenever you are giving any expression, it would then count that particular rows on the base of that expression, and then it would return you the value for that. In a similar way, average X is used to calculate the average based on any expression. For example, you are providing any expression like the unit into quantity, which would lead to a total price. Then you want to find the average of that total price. So inside you will be giving all these queries, and outside you will be writing average X, which would be helping you to find the average. So we will see this in action 2. Then we have the median. Median returns the median value in a column. Whenever you are having any column and you want to find the median value out of it, you will use this median. In a similar way, if you want to find the standard deviation, you will be using this standard EV function. Now, after this, there is this point P, which is used to find out the standard deviation of the complete population. Then if you want to find out the variance of the complete column, so you will be using this var function. Then we have the rank X function. Rank X returns the rank of an expression evaluated over a table. Whenever you are providing any expression, it would then calculate that expression and then it would provide you the rank. Then we have the percentile X. Percentile X returns the percentile rank of a value in a set of values. It is used to calculate the 90th percentile of total conditions, 100th percentile of any conditions, 20th percentile of any condition. Whenever whatever expression you provide, it would be used to count that kind of percentile. So you can give the value of the percentile. Let's say you want to calculate the 98th percentile. So you will pass the value as 0.9. If you want to find out the 20th percentile, you will pass the value as 0.2. In this way, you can use this percentile function. So let's go to the Power BI screen and see these in action. The first one that we are going to use is the count function. Now to use the count function, I know that the count function will return me a single value. So in that case, what I can do is I can create a measure instead of a column. So let's go to the report view. First, let me clear the screen. Now what I need to do is I need to create a new measure and it is the count of orders. So I will name this measure as order count. I will use the function count, open the bracket, and how do you want to count this? So I know in this particular table, I have this order ID column. So if I count all the order IDs, I would be able to find how many orders have been placed. So I will use this order ID. Close the bracket, hit enter. Now to see this value, since it is a measure, you can use a card also. So I made a card and I will drag and drop this order count. So you can see this order count has been made over here. So I can drag and drop this on the top of my visual. Now we can see that the order count is 50. How can you verify it? So if you go to the table view, you can see that indeed there are 50 rows right now. So to see this, you can refer over here at the bottom part of the table. It says sample 50 rows. So that means our data was having 50 rows and indeed it is showing me the right value. Now the next one is the count A function. So let's say that in your data set, any value is blank. For example, if I go over here and I see the customer name, so I know that orders have been placed, so they would be generating an order ID. But let's say if a customer hasn't entered their name, or maybe any other column is empty, how would you do it? How would you find the number of non-blank values? So to do that, I again have to create a measure which would be count A. That means count all. So I will click on the new measure. I will say, let's say customer name count equals to count A, and I will pass the column of the customer names over here. So I can find the customer name column over here, click on it, close the bracket, hit enter. Now to verify it, you have to create a new card and then you can drag and drop the values over here. So you can see I have the 50 customer names which are non-blank. That means all the orders that were placed are having the customer names in that. Then we have the count X operation. Now this count of X operation is used to count the number of values on a certain condition. For example, again, if I go to the table view, you can see the total price of every order over here. Now, how we found out this total price? So this is basically the unit price and the quantity price multiplied together. And that's how we are getting this total price. Now you want to find out the high order values. The high order values in this case is every order which is beyond 100. So the currency over here, whichever currency is it, let's say it is in US dollars maybe. So it should be greater than 100. Then we will term it as the high value order. So to find out how many high value orders have we got, what I need to do is I need to create a measure. Now, since these high value measures, if I'm counting them, they would be a single number. So I have to create a measure. So again, I will click on new measure. The measure name I'm giving is high value orders. First, I will use the function of countx because countx is used to count the values based on a specific expression. Then it would ask me on which table do you want to work. So I will say I want to work on sample sales, comma, then it would ask me the expression. So the expression that I want to provide is that if the total price is greater than 100, then you have to count, else leave it blank. So in this case, I will use if function, and in bracket, I will say the logical test is the total price should be greater than 100. And if the total price is greater than 100, what should you do? So you should return me the value as 1, else leave it as blank. So for blank, I have to write blank over here. Then you need to close the bracket. Now this bracket close was for the if condition. I again have to close the bracket for this countx function. So again, I will put a parenthesis. Now to verify if your measure is working or not, if your column is working or not, if there is any problem in the expression, how would you do it? So you can see over here, this color would show red whenever the expression is wrong. So let's say if I'm forgetting one parenthesis over here. So first it is telling me over here by red that this parenthesis is not closed. And if it is even not working after you have applied it, after you have selected the check mark or committed it, so it would show as red. That means that is having some kind of syntax error and it is not able to evaluate that function. After writing this function, you can hit enter. To check it again, I have to create a new card and I will drag and drop this value of high value orders. So there are 20 high value orders that I have got. How can I verify it? Again, I have to go to the table view. Over here in the total price, I have to count all the values which are greater than 100. So you can see over here, I'm having the values starting which are greater than 100. So you have to count all these values. So indeed, they look like some 20 values over here which are greater than 100. That means we have created the right measure. Now we don't need to verify it again because whenever you are dealing with a huge amount of data, you won't be going in there and you will be manually verifying. It would be a time consuming process. In a similar way, if you want to, let's say, find an average, how would you do it? With the help of average x functions. So click on the new measure. The measure I am making is average total price. So I have to find the average total price. I will use the function of average x. It would ask me on which table do you want to work. So you can see over here, it is asking me the table as well as the expression. So I will say, I want to work on the sample sales, comma. In the expression, I will simply say, I want to find out the average of total price. So I can select this column and close the bracket, hit enter, create a new card to verify and drag and drop this average total price. So the average total price that we have is 183.32. Now I will delete these cards for now. Now, if you want to find the median, we have already used a median in the upcoming session. We'll be using that maybe. Then we can find the standard deviation. So again, using median is no big deal. You can click on the new measure and I'll show you. You can also practice it. So you have to write median over here and then you have to pass any column. So let's say I'm passing this total price and it would create a median value for me. But you have to practice this. Just write this syntax and try to find it by placing a card over here and drag and drop in this value. You can see it has evaluated it. I'm not getting any error. Now the next one that I'm going to create is the standard deviation. So there is this unit price of every order. Now I want to find it. What is the standard deviation in that unit prices? So for that, I'm creating a new measure. The name of this measure is unit standard deviation. The function that I'm using is standard deviation, STDEV.P. That is the population sample deviation. I want to find it on the top of the unit price. Close the bracket, hit enter. To verify it, you have to create a card, and you will find this value made in over here. Wherever you are having this data set, it would create a new measure inside it. So I can drag and drop this value. So the standard deviation is 238.37. In the same way, you can find out the variance. The only change that you have to do is whenever you are creating a new measure, so you have to write VAR function for the variance, and then you can pass any column inside of it. So let's say if you are passing unit price. So you will pass this unit price, and inside you can find out the variance as well. So this is also a task for you. Then we are also having the other count functions as well. So you can also try the count a value and count x function. So in this way, you will be making some new measures and it would give you some practice also. So this was all for this session. I hope this was clear to you. And in the upcoming sessions, we will be talking about the other DEX functions. Thank you.